This is the Business Stuff Podcast. This is where I will share the lessons I've learned from advising thousands of businesses over almost 30 years. Each episode will give you practical insight to allow you to learn from other people's mistakes. I'll be pulling in experts from our team and the world of business, and together we'll make sure your business is giving you what you want. My name is Martin, and this is the Business Stuff Podcast. Hi, it's Martin, and I'm here with Zoe Campbell, who is a brand photographer for this week's episode of the Business Stuff Podcast. Hi Zoe, how are you doing?
I'm very good, thank you. Thanks for inviting us along today, Martin.
No problem at all. So, brand photography, tell us a little bit about what you do, and then we'll get into brand photography and why it's important for businesses.
Yeah. So, I'm Zoe Campbell. I've been a portrait and event photographer for the last 10 years and recently expanded my services into business and personal brand photography, helping businesses with their marketing by providing them with visual images to go alongside their content.
So it's quite important here because most people probably think of business photography, and if they've got a product, they need product photos. That's not you. They'll have a headshot, which you can do a headshot, but it's more than just a headshot, isn't it?
It is, yeah. So, you know,
because everyone's seen the classic white background or full stage LinkedIn pro. That's exactly. Not what you get to do, is it?
Yeah. So, I remember joining LinkedIn actually about 10 years ago, and everybody had these stiff corporate shots, and I just realized that wasn't really my platform at the time. But now I'm getting into the business and personal branding, and trying to get out there. That's more than just a headshot. It's so important now for businesses to be visible online and to show their personality and their vibe, and get their message across there to attract the clients they want to work with.
Because you've got a little slogan that summarises that. I like it a lot, and I've used this, and I think I mentioned this on a podcast episode recently. So what's your thing? Show your show your vibe, attract your tribe. And it's quite a simple way of saying if you're not putting personality into your output, then you're generic, you're bland, aren't you? You're everybody else. If people can't see your vibe, how could they be attracted to you? So that sounds like something to go, well, I get that, but how do you do that in a photo then? Because we've all heard the old saying, photo's 1,000 words. So what can you do with a photo that makes it look like it's not just normal? How do we do that?
Yeah, so rather than just me, I wouldn't just turn up, with a client with my camera and say, stand there, pose, look at this, take a headshot. So I spend a lot of time with my client on the run up to the photo shoot. So I really get to find out about how their business works, get to know about their business values, their mission, what message they're trying to put out there to attract, the right audience, their ideal clients. I spend a lot of time getting to know the client and find out what their personality is like as well, so that we can put together a plan, ready for the shoot, to have lots of little scenarios set up ready in different, locations. Also, it's really good to get pictures of them working with their client, so people get a real feel of what it's like to work with them.
In action, as it were.
Yeah. Those behind the scenes shots.
Because we've got a mutual contact, Catherine, who, I don't know if we can link, but, Catherine does HR. HR is classically, it's like the threat, well, you're going to go to HR, right? But obviously we know Catherine, that's not Catherine. Exactly. She's lovely, she's approachable, caring and considerate and compassionate. Yeah. And that her photos don't look like Miss Trunchbull. They look like someone you'd be happy to go to and take a problem to, don't they?
That's right, yeah.
And that's kind of through, the word and she does, but the photos have to give that message as well, don't they?
They do, yes. And me and Catherine spent a lot of time on the run up to the shoot. I got to know Catherine a lot, and getting that lovely vibe of a lovely, warm, friendly personality, and that's what I wanted to bring out, for Catherine's photo shoot. So now she's got this big bank of images in all different scenarios, to have an image to post with every bit of content that she puts out. And she's, Catherine says her engagement has really gone up since she's got these set of brand photos. So she's got an image of her with every piece of content, rather than scrambling around looking for stock images that which
you never quite, they never say what you want to say, do they?
Exactly.
They don't quite look the way you want them to look.
But it's a lot more engaging for your viewers, if they can get a real feel of you as a person, the face behind the brand, and you want people to feel like you're approachable and you're friendly and it's somebody that they want to work with.
So, because you mentioned that you spend a lot of time getting to know people, obviously part of that conversation must be about finding out who they're trying to attract as well.
Yes.
Because you can get to know the person all you want, but still take a photo that doesn't give the message to their tribe. To keep using your really cool saying. I love that, by the way. So it's like a rounded thing, isn't it? It's not just, oh, well, I've always fancied a photo of me on a surfboard. It's like, yeah, but what's that got to do with tax advisory, for instance?
Yeah.
It's got nothing to do with it. Because it's still got to then be the right message to go out as well, hasn't it?
It is, yeah.
Do you find when you speak to people that they often don't know who their target audience is? And is that a bit of a stumbling block here then?
Some people really do know, have really identified the ideal client. Maybe it's a new business setting up, possibly won't, so I can help them with that and we can work together and at least try and sort of or little down to find what message they want to put out there, and just find out a lot about what, even just getting images of what they do in their personal life as well. That can be very engaging for social media. People seem to love that, to see. Because also what we haven't talked about, and we haven't followed any of this on the wall behind us, by the way, Zoe, is where would you use photos is one of the questions that we probably should have started with, because we're in a world now where video is everything. But I still think there's a good, important place for photos, because not everything is digital, not everything is moving. People might want a leaflet with a good photo on. Your website, well, yeah, you might have video on, but that still needs photos on. Your LinkedIn post, not everyone wants to watch a video every day, exactly,
do they?
Yeah. People just want to scroll, they don't want to sit, 2-3 minutes watching a video. They just might be
they'll do a bit of it, but not every day.
So
they're not going to watch. You put something out every day, they don't want to watch it, are they? So obviously the type of image you capture then will depend dramatically on where they're going to use it as well, won't it?
So it depends on sort of like what they're wanting, what sort of content they're putting out there. So they'll have this bank of images, think, all right, that image will go with that. Again, it's down to where the post, and it can be very different, the post that you put on LinkedIn to what you put on Facebook to what you put on Instagram.
Because they've got slightly different audiences, haven't they? Insta's probably more fun and playful. I find Facebook then is a bit more like personal story rather than necessarily business message. LinkedIn is more business than. So again, you want something that matches the place you're using it, don't you? Yeah,
and the message that you're wanting to put out there. And plus, you may have, like if you've got marketing drives and stuff that you want to promote something that's coming up. You need those sort of images to get that engagement. Because if you just put some writing out there, most people will just quickly scroll past it. But when you've got an engaging picture to align with that piece of content, it stops
that's
people
the
to
hook,
think,
isn't it?
It is.
That's the hook. You're flicking and you go, oh, what was that?
Yes.
What about, not on the wall here, but what about people who think, well, I'm not photogenic. I don't want my face on me, but let's split this down. You've got a single person business. The face has to be theirs to some degree, doesn't it? But what about if you've got a single person business and they just say, look, I don't want my photo anyway? Are they just missing out?
I think that there is people in business like that. Most people don't like the photograph taken. However, when you get your picture taken, if somebody takes a picture on their phone, it's normally terrible because it's a bit gritty. The lighting can be bad.
It wasn't lit well. It wasn't posed. It wasn't.
And you can actually get more of a complex about yourself seeing a picture that somebody's took on the phone. If you're like, oh, it's nothing worse. Something goes on Facebook, you're like, oh my god.
Delete that straight away.
However, when it's done professionally and make sure that it's lit correctly and plus it's getting those sort of natural candid ones as well. So when I'm doing a photo shoot, I'll be trying to have a bit of a laugh, you know, with people, so you get that natural expression coming out.
You get the glimmer in the eye, you get the half smile after a laugh, not necessarily the staged smile.
Yeah, and then plus if it's great to bring, you know, someone else along to the shoot, a friend, a client, so then they can just have a natural conversation, and they're the shots that most of the clients love the best.
They're the winning shots,
because they're natural, you know, they're not standing there feeling awkward with a stiff pose.
It's funny because I think a lot of people know this, but forget it, because obviously you've done weddings and you do all kinds, but we're not here to talk about that really. But my favourite photos from our wedding day were just when the photographer was just moving around, just capturing people chatting, and they might only capture one person in that conversation, but they've kind of got it from over there and they didn't know what was happening. And I think if people don't know it's coming, you almost get a more natural pose, don't you? And we all know that. Oh, that's a lovely one of like your dad. Oh, he wasn't even looking. Yeah, that's what made it special. They're always the best ones,
and that's what people always love. And you know, brand photography can come back more than just a headshot. It's, you know, it's about telling the whole story and capturing, you know, that person at work behind the scenes. So yeah, it's you know, the brand photography is, you know, sort of more business owners are now really wanting to like sort of get more images rather than just this headshot, so that they can portray themselves.
You mentioned this bank, because again, I've had photo shoots in the olden days where it's like, oh, the guy's coming at 2:00, stand behind that white thing.
And
that's it. But it was, I mean, I've probably got in my back catalogue, I don't know what do models have? My portfolio.
Oh, right.
I've had hundreds of them done over the years. Right. And just because that's what people did for years and years and years, isn't it? But you talk about this idea of getting a bank of photos. So I presume this isn't just I'm going to turn up and take like 10 minutes and go away and touch it up. It's we're going to spend a bit of time. And you mentioned about getting to know people beforehand as well. So this sounds like it's more than just 3:00, see you then, brush your hair. It's more than that, isn't it?
It is, yeah. So
when you get to know, you've mentioned a bit, but what do you get to know about? What are you trying to get out of that then?
So just finding out everything, you know, about how their business runs, their mission, their values, all that sort of thing, who, you know, what the type of a client they want to attract, plus, you know, find out their personality, what they do in their spare time, because people, as I say, love like seeing what people's lives are like, you know, business owners' lives are like behind the scenes, so it's not just this logo, this brand, they're getting a real feeling. It all comes back down to, as we know, people buy from people. You know, so it's growing that audience and growing that know, like, and trust is you've got content to put out there every day. I mean, you couldn't, if you just had a 10, 20 stiff headshots, you know, there's only so much content you can put out there, but you've got this range of images.
Well, not really. That's a profile picture. That's nothing else, is it?
And what can you post as your content, apart from adding a stock image in there?
So that's what I think a lot of people do. And again, we've done this, and you go for that stock image, and then if you're like a small business, people go, oh, who was that on the brochure? So I just no idea, some rando off the internet, you know. It's like, why not just have, especially if you've got a small 2 or 3 person team, get everyone involved. Get the people who they see when they come in reception, the person who drops their stuff off on the delivery van. Why not try and get them involved?
Yeah, and it's nice to get sort of like the location where you are, because people warm to that. If they went on your website and they got it, you know, it could tell you know, right, they're from the Northeast and they want to work with a Northeast company, for example, and then they see, you know, the staff, and then how stuff that goes on behind the scenes. You want to try and capture that. So if you're a company there, you just like have a bit of laugh with each other. You want to sort of, would like to come in and capture those sort of images. Assuming you're somewhere where laughing's
appropriate. You know, if you're a heart surgeon or something, then you know, maybe not. Or and it. I mean, it sounds to me like that would be a great thing. This whole getting to know, for someone who doesn't like their photo taken. You're going to turn up and you're not taking this photo as the person who's just walked in and shone a massive light in their face. You're gonna, because you know them a bit better, that must put them at ease, does it?
It does, yeah. So around the time, you know, because we've spent some time getting to know each other on the run up to the shoot, plus we have everything planned out so they know what to expect. You know, when I turn up on the day, it's like meeting an old friend, you know, so we've already got that really good connection, and, you know, so they feel comfortable with me straight away. There can be, Czech people are generally just a little bit nervous at the beginning, you know, but as soon as we get going and get in the flow, it turns fun and it ends up really being really enjoyable.
Can't argue with that. Is there still a place for the traditional headshot though, do you think?
Oh yeah, I mean, I would still get a traditional headshot. I try and avoid the white background.
The straight white hair. Because I see a lot of, we'll mention LinkedIn, I see a lot of LinkedIn profiles where you see like a trainee solicitor and you go, that's not a headshot of a trainee solicitor. Mm-hmm. It's like someone like holding a cocktail in like Marbella or something. You're like, what, like that doesn't really, that might be your vibe.
Yeah.
But do you really want all that vibe out? Is there like such a thing as too much vibe out there, or?
I just think it's just embracing
or do you think
as your personality.
Well,
I mean, you know, not everybody's, you know, got to, you know, wants to be this vibrant personality. You still want to be quite reserved, but you can still get a nice relaxed, you know, shot, just sort of, you know, sitting in a nice environment, coffee shop, drinking a coffee on your laptop, on your phone, you know, just shots as well, instead of just your classical headshot, you know, on the phone. So when people are looking at that, they can envision you on the phone and think, oh, well, they get a feel of what it's like.
That's who I'm speaking to when I'm speaking to you, yeah.
And it's nice to be able to vision who you're speaking to as well, because I think a lot of it's amount of times if you think you might have had so many conversations with somebody on a phone, but you've never seen them, and then you meet them and they look completely different to what you envisioned.
That brings to mind something else I was going to mention in a second, which I will if I remember. But yeah, you know, we've got a lot of digital communication now, voice communication. Zoom's great, Teams is great, and obviously we use them. But you could still have a lot of people that you've worked with all your life, and then you've no idea what they look like, and that's one of the things you can do, isn't it? You mentioned as well about making sure. Well, you didn't say that, but what came to my mind there is I was once in a client's premises, and the owner mentioned to one of the lasses that worked there, and he kind of went, you know, like, people who meet you don't know who you are because everything you put out is so filtered, adjusted. No one has any idea what you actually look like. And I suppose you're not aiming to like alter people's appearances, or you're trying to show what they are in their best light.
Yeah. Well, I say, I'll make you. People go, oh, can you slim us down? Can you just say, look, I'll make you the best version of yourself. You know,
I'd come back if you want to lose a couple of pounds, but yeah.
But I mean, people don't like perfection. You know, like me.
I don't think you need it.
These days, I think we lived in a time where, you know, everything was just, everywhere you looked, it was these perfectly polished people, and it just makes people feel, you know, insecure about themselves. So now I think
because they know they don't look like that,
exactly,
don't they?
Yeah. And people want to see real people, and they want to work with real people, and yes, they don't want to feel like they're going to, you know, I can't say that being appealing. Just, you know, it's to someone, they want to work with somebody if they look fake and over polished, you know, because none of them are perfect.
Because you go, well, if that bit of their business is a lie, what else? Yeah, how can you trust someone who? Yeah, don't know where I was going with that, but yeah, it's got to be authentic, hasn't it?
Authentic, yes.
That's probably the simplest way to put it.
Yeah, and as I say, I just think it's important to be the best version of yourself, you know.
What we normally ask people then, Zoe, what like the biggest mistake is that you see out there? You're a lovely person, so you won't do this. And I did say to you once, I said, why don't you just look on people's LinkedIn and go, that needs some work? But that's not you. But what, like, not being specific about people, but what types of things do you think, and you just go, oh, that really isn't the way to go there?
To be honest, I'd probably pick up more on bad lighting. It's like if something like
technical
just
side of it.
Yeah, like if I see some photos and they're just really like you can tell they've been taken on a phone, they're really poorly. You can't really see that the face properly or an expression properly. And I just
so it's more about so that sounds like you're saying it's the technical snobbery, but I don't think that's what you're saying. I think, but correct me if I'm wrong, you miss out on the thing you're trying to show if it's not captured right. Is that what it's not just, well, it must be a professional photo. It's like, it's got to be the right photo and a well done photo. Is that what you're saying?
And having a natural expression as well, you know, because some people might look really stiff and awkward on a photo, so, you know.
Which is quite hard if you don't like photos, but you know you need one and you're doing it yourself like that. Well, it's always going to look awkward, isn't it? which is probably an advantage to having someone else capture it at a candid moment while you're not expecting
exactly, yeah. And, and then by providing, a whole range of images, there's going to be a good number of images that you can use for your profile shots. And again, ones that align with the different platforms, social media platforms that you're using.
Yeah. Plus, if you get someone who can take a bunch of them as well, and you're going to get 3 or 4, one of the 3 or 4 will be the one that you like, because you might take 25 and send 3 or 4 of the better ones, and it helps remove the noise from having to do all of that work, doesn't it?
Yeah. So I've just and as I say, it's different scenarios. So like a full brand shoot as well. We'll go to a different 2 or 3 different locations, change of clothing as well, like 2 or 3 different clothes. So you're not having to keep posting out the same picture with the same clothes on.
You've only got one jumper. Is that your only jumper you've got?
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, I think I might have wore this last episode. That was a disaster.
Yeah. And I was just going to say as well, it's important to bring in your brand colours as well, so that's another thing we would go over.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, so it's bringing elements of that in.
Because it's not all personal brand, there is a business brand to consider here, isn't
it? So again, it's especially on certain things like maybe Instagram, where you want your feed to flow and have those little elements of brand colours coming through, whether it's on your clothing or a little prop, it could be your cup, colours on your phone. Just little things like that, so we would
because those sort of things bleed in eventually, don't they? Because well, again, Catherine and I know, because I've spoke to her about this, I noticed pretty quickly that her watch strap is the same as her colour, her phone case, she normally has a folder that she's writing in it. She's done that quite well. And this isn't the Catherine fan club, but you know what her colour is.
Yes.
Which makes it easier to then spot her in a if you're flicking through, you spot her brand. It comes out, doesn't it?
And when I say those turquoise colours, it triggers, Catherine's brand in my mind. And I think that's really important, because obviously the big brands, there is certain colours and fonts and things like that.
Well, a McDonald's in non-yellow, you go, there's something not right there. But you'd spot the yellow before the M. It's like just as recognisable, isn't it? So
it is,
you can lean into that and use that, can't you?
Yeah, so it is really important to bring those elements in as well.
Who we don't want me to do this kind of question, but who would you love to have a go at brand-wise locally? Like which local business? Like, I'm not suggesting you're going to get them, but just out of interest, like who? No. Sorry, or like what kind of business do you prefer, or like. What's your dream like?
Do you know what it is? I haven't really thought about anyway.
I didn't tell you in advance. Sorry.
Didn't prepare this.
but like, well, just tell us about what your favourite job's been, and then tell us about somewhere where you go, oh, that was sweet. I would like to do them all day, every day.
I mean, Catherine's probably an ideal client for me.
It is a good example of. Yeah.
And people might think, well, how it must be hard. What do you do for so many scenarios to capture just like when it's just a face behind the brand, it's not like
because so Catherine's HR, she hasn't got a product, she hasn't got shiny cars where you can wet the road and get like the sunset card, like it's a person, and her product and service, there's nothing you can't take a picture of a contract, can you? Or
exactly, yeah.
So it is just a person, isn't it?
It is, and that's what I actually love. I love working with people who are the face behind their brands, like personal branding. Because there is actually a lot of scenarios that you can do, and as I say, finding the different locations and working with the clients and what have you. But what I've learned as being a photographer over 10 years, portraits is what I've mainly specialised in. I love capturing life events. So I'm a people person, photographer. So that's where I get me buzz from, and I love working with people as opposed to. I think a lot of people think of brand photography as well. They think, that's just taking photos of the product.
Yeah.
But the personal branding side is really important, and now it's never been more important to be visible online for entrepreneurs, people who are the face behind the brand. They need to have these images to be putting out there all of the time.
Because word of mouth business is great, but there aren't many businesses who can rely purely on those introductions without having to have a website. Your socials. Most businesses kind of have to have those things now, don't they?
Definitely.
Quite hard to get anywhere without them, wouldn't it?
Yeah, definitely, yeah. So it's more than just having those images now for your website and your marketing material. Yes, having these bank of images will give you all of the content for that.
What kind of number would you say needs to be in that bank? And are you talking about because 3 or 4 would get quite quickly used up? Are you talking like 10, 15, 20?
Oh, you're looking at about 80 to 100 images. So you've got a good 6 months worth of content.
So again, this is more than you're not just turning up for half an hour with a white screen, are you? This is a full exercise. So it's a good half a day.
3-4 hours or so.
Right. So when you say a bank, you mean a proper bank, right? Okay.
Going down to a bank of images, and then you've
Why does
got
Catherine
all
just
of
keep
these.
using that one then?
It doesn't. But yeah, it's great because I see Catherine's images popping up, different ones. Every other day or so to align with the content and the messages just trying to put out there.
I haven't seen her stern face one. You must have a contract. I haven't seen that one yet. Well, I'll keep an eye out. Right. Okay then. So just to recap then, it's more than just a headshot. Everyone knows the headshot. There's a place for a headshot of a kind, but try and make it a bit different. Get your vibe out to attract your tribe. It's important to make sure it complements your business brand rather than just, that's why I meant, surfboard. Well, if I may be the coastal kind of tax advisor, but if I'm not, why have I got a surfboard? It's like, it might work, but it wouldn't work for me.
It's all about, creating the images that align with your brand and tell the story of your brand. And, we've all got sort of goals, values, a mission sort of that we want to put out there that, so it's creating images to align with all of that. So again, coming back down to having this bank of images that you've got to use alongside all of this.
And not to worry that if you don't like getting your photo taken, don't worry, you've got, any good photographer should have a way of getting around the fact that people don't like posing for photos.
Exactly, but most people, what they don't like is those really posed images in front of a plain background, getting
staring at the lens.
But as I
nobody
say,
likes looking into a camera, do they?
No, but some people want fun shots like jumping shots and things like that. To use. Catherine loves our jumping shots, so we've got a number of them in different.
Because also, I think you did some stuff for a personal trainer.
Yes.
And if you're like a personal trainer, then. I mean, that bank of 80 photos for someone who did a bunch of poses around their own gym on different machines, doing sounds like exactly what you would need, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's she wanted.
Which I've never even thought about that, so we've spent a lot of time talking about people who don't have an obvious thing to capture. But if you do have a process, or you are making something, or you got a big factory and you're working on machinery, then. There's so much opportunity, isn't there?
Yeah, it's great. Then behind the scenes shots are great, because you can get such a variation, of those, especially if you've got a team of people. I love just going in and just getting those natural shots. I'm not having to set anything up, just, getting them to do their thing, their job, and I'm just getting
so
them shots in different angles. So I presume you could come into a
workplace and just walk around the workplace relatively freely and just... as long as everyone knows why you're there. Hey, who's this random one taking pictures of it?
So it would be a mixture of those shots, and obviously team shots as well. Getting, you want those shots of you all standing together. Shots maybe having a meeting, interacting shots. So just covering everything that the business does on a day-to-day basis. Good.
Well, before you go, you can get a picture of me pulling my hair out doing a tax return or something like that. I would pull my hair if I had to do a tax return, yes. But listen, Zoe, that's been great. There's been loads of good intel there, loads of good reminders as to why you need imagery, but not just video. There's still very much a place for good, solid photography in the business as well. I think any business will be a fool not to include imagery in the business. So thank you very much.
Oh, very welcome. Thanks for having me.
I hope you enjoyed that. So that was Zoe Campbell, brand photographer, talking about how you should show your vibe to attract your tribe. Thank you very much, Zoe.